I hate people who leave Lebanon or leave the Middle East and go to like New York or Paris and then critique the Middle. You know what? You want to critique us? Come back. You know what I'm saying? You can critique, but I hate people who are like, oh, Lebanon's so, I would never, you know what? You're not helping. We're not going to get anywhere if nobody's sacrificing. Like, if nobody's going to do their part, it's not going to get anywhere. Because I actually genuinely believe, and I'm not like a hopeful, like, I've put my head to stuff and I'm putting my work into it. But I believe that the savior of the Middle East in general, and especially my country, is comedy.
If you're not from the Middle East, Lebanon conjures up images of war, rogue militia, and radicalism. Our American crew was concerned, and their families in the United States were worried about their safety.
I've traveled to Lebanon regularly since the 90s and know that the media has sensationalized the current events in the region. The civil war that ended in 1990 made a huge impact, but the situation in Beirut has changed tremendously since then.
It's easy to forget that Lebanon is a beautiful Mediterranean country with an ancient history. It was a crossroads for ancient cultures such as the Phoenicians, Egyptians, Persians, Macedonians, and Romans.
We actually grew up immersed in Lebanese culture. Our oldest friends, the Ubaids, are Lebanese. From simple things like eating za'atar sandwiches to participating in traditional debke dances, we did it all.
The Lebanese are some of the most generous and liberal-thinking people I know. They passionately embrace the creative arts and particularly champion everything that is made in Lebanon, something I respect them for deeply.
For me, Beirut was going to be the true test of social travel. Is it possible to find new perspectives in a city you have visited countless times and know well? So when did you first come up with the idea of illustrating life in Beirut?
It started mainly 4 years ago. I had just graduated from university and I had finished my graphic design degree. And I had a lot to say at this point because I was frustrated with life here because
you didn't grow up here, right?
Yeah, I grew up in Saudi Arabia and we moved to Lebanon the worst possible year that you can move, which is 2005, because all the political problems started with assassinations, one after the other. So this was not what I was expecting from Lebanon.
What were you expecting?
I was expecting the image that all the Lebanese diaspora outside Lebanon has, which is a very romantic version, a vacation country, and you can go to the mountain and swim in the same day.
And ski.
Yeah, exactly, ski and go to the beach in the same day. And, I was very opinionated and I wanted to say something about it. I just don't want to watch everything and not like it.
Do you think, being raised in Jeddah, Saudi Arabia, gave you fresh eyes when you came over here? You were able to see things that maybe people who've been living here for a long time could not see?
Definitely. I consider myself lucky that I had the chance to grow up there because I was actually exposed at school. We had like 30 different nationalities from all religions and we had tolerance, acceptance. We grew up with this. So for me, it was very natural.
What sort of messages do you like to put in your illustrations?
Mostly it's personal opinions or social topics which relate to my daily life, which annoy me, basically. Everything that annoys me, I try to laugh it out in a story, in a comic. Because when you see it illustrated in a comic, it just loses its severity. You feel that, okay, fine, if you can laugh about it, then it's not so important.
It's more approachable.
Yeah, exactly.
But also a lot of your messages are about development within the country, and that's the side that you like to drive towards, right?
Yes, I believe that if we stay here, we can make a change. I believe that if you just give up and say this country is hopeless and leave, it will stay as it is.
What are you getting back in terms of feedback?
Most of the feedback I received was supportive and positive, and I even received feedback from people living outside Lebanon that my posts make them want to feel that they want to come back, and also from non-Lebanese people who watch the news. They get the impression that it's a war zone. It is a war zone, but it's not your typical war zone, because one day there's an explosion and the next day we just go to work.
But I mean, explosions don't happen every day here.
No,
they don't happen every week
occasionally.
here. Occasionally, over decades and decades and
At
decades.
some point, they were happening every week in 2008, but it's much better right now. And honestly, I feel that a lot of things have changed. If you see my book, it has a lot of things about slow internet. But things are changing, and we got faster internet. It's not the fastest in the world, far from it, but it's an improvement.
You know, I wouldn't say you're exactly criticizing Lebanon and Lebanese people, but you're putting a mirror up to their face, right?
But I'm doing it in a way that it's kind of, I'm putting a mirror in my face. That's why people don't get offended much. You know, there's usually a little spark that causes a huge debate online, and don't talk about me and your father and my father is better. It becomes so childish. But because those stories happened with me and I'm using my character, they feel less offended or concerned.
If you look at what you've achieved and where you've come, do you feel that everything happened for a reason?
My books are translated, are actually published by a publishing house in Italy. They called me and they said, we are a publishing house who are working on showing the true image of the Middle East, not the one we are used to seeing on the news. And they saw them and they're like, you're a normal person and you live a normal life. And I said, what were you thinking? And they said they had this Orientalist image, you know, of the Arab world, a completely wrong image. So they said, we're going to translate them. So they took both my books and they translated them and they published them in Italian. And I went there to the book signing and I got comments like, you don't look like an Arab. No. What are you thinking? People have images, wrong images, unfortunately, because of the media. And this somehow is helping change those images.
I look at it, I'm like, I love it, this is fantastic, we're gonna work together, but let's put everything out where it should be, okay? This business plan sucks, okay? And he's like, what do you mean? I'm like, who did these numbers? I mean, it doesn't make sense. You wanna make this much money, you're putting this much money, 1 + 1 = 5 in this business plan.
But what's interesting is that the other guys I saw before actually loved the business plan.
That's the story, because I saw through it. I saw it was just fluff.
He means that in a good way.
Okay. No, I do.
He means fluff in a good
because
way.
when you look like Don Draper, okay.
I used to. Back then, I used to. Believe it or not, guys.
Did you tell him take off that suit and we got a deal?
Yeah, no, I'm like, you're obviously.
You know, and what happened over the year after that was literally stripping that suit out. That's what he did. He forced me to not be Don Draper ever again.
You gotta decorporate yourself.
We're talking with you, not at you.
Exactly.
Once you take off all the masks, there's a guy who's hungry.
You're investing in businesses here in Lebanon, while it would probably be less riskier to invest in businesses outside of Lebanon. Of
course.
Why do you keep this in Lebanon?
It is entirely irrational. This is by far completely
But there's a
irrational.
personal satisfaction or a personal goal in it.
The jaded part of me would say it's not worth it, okay? You put your life into it, you lose your hair over it, you know, I'm balding, okay? I hope the camera can fix that. When on average, every year we have a conflict, okay? With, 1 year conflict, 2 year downtime, something like that. You get this culture of, if I don't make money by the end of the year, I'm out of business. And you reach a point where you're like, this does not make sense. On the optimistic end, it's amazing how, even without stepping out of the office, there's this buzz going around that it is possible to create. Okay, and that makes, it makes the hair stand on your arms, because you're like, people are starting to believe. Maybe they know, maybe they don't know that it's sequence. It doesn't matter. What they know is that these guys came out of nowhere. They're a bunch of guys They don't wear suits, you know. They don't have a lot of money, but they're making it happen. And in a way, that's worth a lot of money.
It's real. It becomes real. And when you get to that point, it becomes real.
Because
Like,
it's
you see
not
it.
driven by a government.
No, we don't have a government at the moment. So for what it's worth.
There is no government.
They're not joking.
We're not joking.
Can I just say something? I think the important thing in the region, but especially in Lebanon, is the lack of mentorship and guidance. I think that's the main thing. Funding, I don't think it's that difficult. It's a lot of people have great ideas. No, but I'm saying
Go out there.
But I'm
But-
saying
but I do agree.
the main point
Money
is
is not the
mentorship,
problem.
mentorship and guidance. Like I know some people they get angel investors, fine, they have the money, but then they don't know what to do. And
I was
there
going to
isn't
say,
that.
I was going to
Here,
say the exact
that's
same thing.
problem.
I was going to say what excites me is the fact that you were able to find somebody else who could actually help you through it.
Speak the same language.
Yeah.
You know, I think everybody like sensationalizes entrepreneurship.
Yeah.
You know, there's all these like awards and trophies, you know, entrepreneurship. And they're like the cool dudes of today. We were talking about that earlier
They're
on.
the new rock stars.
Yeah.
اوكي هيطان مديني ولعان يا صدقني عم تحكيني عم تخبرني واقع بلد خردة مشردة بفليني قرفوني الكعفيني عفون السياسة اساس تعاسي بحصة ورا بحصة قديش بده يحمل راسي عندي بالشارع.
Everything we do is actually in Arabic. We do Arabic calligraphy, we do Arabic graffiti, Arabic typography, and we put them either on walls or on T-shirts. Like when we started Ashikman, it was basically a platform for the freedom of speech. It was a platform for expression. And this is what we do. Like we have a free canvas on the street. That's why we do a graffiti on the street. We don't trust the news, 8 o'clock news. Trust Ashikman on the street.
Not just the walls. We wanted any medium we can put our messages on, like through our T-shirts, through our music, and through our graffiti. Like we have our messages all over the place.
So aside from street art and fashion, you're also into music.
Yes.
When did you decide to get into that?
Actually, we do Arabic rap music with a Lebanese dialect.
يا كل شاب بعمري بيحلم بمستقبل غير حاضره وبيقدح كرمال يفرض واقع غير ما القدر فارضه حياتي فيلم هيتشكوك تيك توك كل شوي ما بنصح تحضره ما بعرف شو النهاية وإذا البطل حيموت بآخره ما بلحق العمي.
So if we think back, where did it all start?
According to the doctor who gave birth, my mom told us like when did the first scanner, they saw Muhammad was holding a microphone and I was holding a spray can.
True story.
True story, yeah.
Basically, we're the mirror of the society. Like for example, if there's something we need to write about it, we simply write our diary. So if maybe tomorrow something crashed on Earth and destroyed the humanity, like the survivors will will listen to our album and will know what happened in Lebanon.
Yes.
The most important thing is we're auto-produced. We're self-made, self-paid as artists. I don't want to have to do like pop songs that are like chewing gum. You chew it, and when the sugar is like done, you spit it.
You know, the last few years, people talk a lot about there not being a lot of Arabic content out there. And certainly things like, you know, like what you guys are doing. So this has a huge meaning for the region, to do things only in Arabic.
Yeah.
Exactly.
It's something like we want to do since day one, and we didn't know like in the future what will happen. But I think people are starting to following us, and a lot of people are being influenced by us, and which is a good thing.
We're the stepping stone of like a new breed of like street artists, and especially the street artists that are inspired by their environment.
The future is about really learning to explore for yourself and learning to do things for yourself. It's not about a certain process. It's not about a certain language. It's not about a certain platform.
It's about empowerment.
Exactly. And at the core is education, because if you are working in anything related to innovative technology, whether it's software, whether it's web, whatever it is, what you know today, tomorrow is old. So we decided to create Geek Express, which is a do-it-yourself space, but based on innovation and based on experimentation, where you don't actually have to build something to succeed, but you come to build something. So everything from, giving people access to technologies like 3D printing, Arduino boards, little bits, giving different types of workshops on how to use these technologies.
What's this little red box over here?
This is the Raspberry Pi, and it is the smallest operating system out there. It's literally a PC, and you can run games on it. You can run applications on it, and it's literally this size.
So the smallest computer in the world.
Yeah.
I feel robbed because when we used to play with like Atari and Nintendo, we used to buy it from a manufacturer. Now kids can make it themselves.
Absolutely. And this is where the future is. It's actually allowing and giving students access and teaching them how they can actually build the actual basis prior to actually building just the application level.
How are you guys using this in store?
All right, let me show you Octalively over here.
Octalively.
Yes. Octalively is based on these boards, but they're actually digital interactive LED boards, and they respond to human movement. So if you put your hand right above each of the boards, and once you've created an entire circuit, you're able to control the lighting. The application of this could really be, I mean, you could see this in retail spaces, you could see this in food and beverage, you could see this in museums.
I look at this and it looks very complicated and complex to put together.
It's actually something you can put together in 30 minutes. Again, it's almost like a puzzle where each of these boards snap into each other and they all link, and the sensors are already built in. So when you think about it, anyone from a 10-year-old can actually put something like this together in any way they want. We decided to put an E and a G for Geek Express. It literally could be any creation that you want.
So this is a 3D printer.
This is a 3D printer. Lo and behold, the MakerBot Replicator 2. What we're making over here is a standard design, which is actually a bracelet from plastic, and it's actually melting it in layers on top of each other.
So what happens is people do an AutoCAD drawing, and then that's fed into the machine.
And it's rendered, and it's put on the SD, and it's actually printed on there. So you have 4 or 5 different colors of this spool of plastic. You can look at this item over here, and this is the actual finished product once you've done printing.
I mean, the cool thing about the material that you use, it's called PLA, polylactic acid. It comes from a renewable source. It's actually a starch.
Yes.
That comes from corn or tapioca.
Yep.
Wow, that's amazing. So kids in the future are not going to buy toys anymore. They're just
They
gonna,
may be making
3D
their
print
own.
them.
They may be making their own.
What do you see this doing for your country, Lebanon?
I really see this enabling people, and I think there's a huge appetite for what we do here. I mean, you can realize that it's really not something about coming here and telling you buy this, buy that. It's about the experience and how you feel inside when you're in here and how you're encouraged to work.
Anything that requires knowledge, skill, and understanding to really grasp is something that's worth it for me.
So how did it all start? When did you decide to get into comedy?
I really remember this when I was about 4 years old. I remember hearing my parents laugh like they had never laughed before. And I remember just making my way into their room and seeing them watching TV and just uncontrollably laughing. And there was a guy talking on TV. It was Bill Cosby. I remember, it was just a click that happiness can be achieved through this. Everywhere I would go, I would tell people I either want to be a stand-up comedian or a Ninja Turtle.
How early was that?
That was when I was 4. I haven't changed. I've never changed. I'm still the same idiot, like laughing at fart jokes kind of kid. But I mean, it's amazing that not only do people find me funny, and not only am I able to do what I love doing and make a decent living out of it and live in the country I want to live in and the region amongst the people I want to live amongst, but it's also helping bring people together. You know, Arabs in general, we have a culture of, we love to tell jokes. It's just insane. Storytelling, It's in our culture. And stand-up isn't that far from that. The way I describe stand-up is this. I say the job of a stand-up comic is to walk into a room and take everyone in that room and take them out of their reality and put them in his own reality. And then basically, this is their world. And then when you're done, you return them to their world and they don't see anything the same. They see everything differently.
From a different perspective.
That's the trick. That is so powerful.
I know what you mean.
I'm a normal guy that loves Lebanon, that has an American citizenship and is an American and proud to be an American, who's successful in America, yet remains here for less fame, fortune.
Why?
Because I believe I have to make a difference. You know, when I'm in Jordan, or when I'm in Lebanon and Christians and Muslims, and it's not I've been able to bring everyone together. And that's what I'm most proud of. I'm interested in making everybody laugh. Because when somebody laughs, that's the power of it. When somebody laughs at something you're saying, if we're enemies and you say a joke and I laugh, we're not enemies. I mean, there's something we're not enemies on. It's stand-up comedy, and I want everybody to relate. I want to bring people together. That's what I'm trying to do.
There's no denying the frustration of the Lebanese. The city and its people have experienced tremendous hardship, pain, and loss over the years.
Perhaps that's why Beirut is known as the party city, a means to numb the sometimes harsh realities of daily life.
There's a growing base of educated youth that are seeking jobs. The need to solve this problem has created a deep entrepreneurial spirit within Lebanon.
The Lebanese diaspora resulted in a population that is twice as large as their population at home, yet they stay firmly connected to their country. Those who stayed believe they can make a bigger difference working together and, more importantly, working from home.
We can only imagine the reality of waking up to these challenges every day, but we have no doubt that when confronted with new forms of adversity, the Lebanese people will continue to persevere.